Hey friends, Dawn here, welcoming you to the Soul Goals podcast and year number 3. This year, we are diving into expanding our perspectives, challenging our belief systems, and working the mental and emotional muscles of our souls. Though still all about growth and connection, this year finds opportunities to hear from people in our communities that have walked a path that might be different from our own, but that ultimately present us with the chance to look at a subject in a different light and learn other ways we could approach challenges in our own world. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Goals podcast. My name is Dawn. So glad to have my friend, Dr. Stacy Jagger, aka Dr. Sassy, in the virtual house today. Look at this beautiful lady sitting beside me. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Dawn. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Dr. Sassy and I interestingly met at a networking event, maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago now?
A couple months ago, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you were a speaker there and an experiential speaker, if I do say so, because you had all these fun little tools out on the table for all the participants to utilize within your talk. It was amazing. So Dr. Sassy, I love it, by the way, I love it. And I want you to tell everybody how it was that came about for your name in just a second. But Dr. Sassy is a licensed marriage and family therapist, a speaker, an author, founder of Music City Family Therapy here in the Nashville, Tennessee area. She also is the author, like I said, author of this great book that just came out. It is the 30-Day Blackout. And Dr. Sassy deals with marriage and families. She is so well-versed on this. She is also the creator of the Mountain Method, which is a 5-phase protocol, if you will, for families. She can talk a little bit more about that. That was the speech that you gave. And interestingly, I feel like we kind of hit it off right away from the beginning when we met. And then you you pulled me up on stage to be a part of your process. And I was like, oh my God. It was the best ever. Oh, it was so amazing. So I appreciate your commitment. I appreciate your humor and your vulnerability. And anybody that meets you, I feel like the energy that you exude is it's this support and this want and this desire for you to be a better person, a better parent, a better individual, just overall. So thank you for that, because I think that's kind of a rare thing in our day and age. So
thank you, Dawn. So sweet.
Well, you're welcome. So welcome to the show. And
I'm so happy. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it. Yeah. Tell me how Dr. Sassy came out of Dr. Stacy Jagger.
Sure. So a few years ago, so I have 4 kids, and my son, my second kid, he was 13 at the time, he was in the back of my minivan, and I told all 4 of my children that were in my car. We lived on a little farm at the time. And I just very honestly said to them, I just want all 4 of you to know that your mama hates this minivan with every fiber in her being. And my son, what do you drive when you got 4 kids, right? So my son, who was 13 at the time, said, Mom, just get the car that you want. And I said, what car is that? And he said, you have always wanted to drive a convertible Beetle. And I said, son, I cannot drive a Beetle right now. I've got 4 kids. Where am I going to put all of you? He said, just give the minivan to his big sister at the time, Rebecca. She was about to turn 16. Okay. And that can be your first car, and you can go get whatever car you want. And I was like, well, okay. So long story short, my neighbor was selling a green convertible Beetle. I went over there. My husband said, just go get what you want. I went over there and wrote a check for a green Beetle with eyelashes. The next morning, my husband and I were looking at this green Beetle, and I said, I think it needs a name.
Oh, yes.
I said, how about Dr. Sassy? So my husband and I were cracking up. He went into the house and he found that the license plate Dr. Sassy was just sitting there waiting on me. So he orders the dog. I'm going to tell you this whole story because you asked, Dawn. You're going to get the whole thing.
I can't believe that was available.
So it was sitting there waiting on me. It was fate. So he gets the license plate. So Dr. Sassy, he figures that out. And I was like, I think it needs eyelashes. So we put eyelashes on the screen beetle. Well, long story short, I was a 48-year-old woman driving all the way through all over Nashville in a green convertible beetle with eyelashes with the Dr. Sassy on the back.
Love it.
What ended up happening is my kid clients started calling me Dr. Sassy.
Mm-hmm.
So funny story. I finished my doctorate and we were like, okay, let's be honest. Who's the real Dr. Sassy here? It's me. It's me. Dr. Sassy's right here.
Car.
But the funniest part of it, I have to tell you this part. My office is right in front of a beautiful children's playground. And I was not aware of it, but while I was driving my Beetle, because I would park my Beetle right in front of this cute little house and, behind this massive church that has this big preschool. Okay. And the children, the preschool kids would walk by my car every single, their little rope, and they would,
Mm-hmm.
go to the playground back and forth. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the eyelashes kept falling off of my car, and I told my husband, like, "I'm so tired of these eyelashes. You got to take these off." So he did, and I pulled up my car one day, and there was a preschool teacher that said, "Are you Stacy Jagger?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Can we talk a minute?" And I said,
Oh,
"Yes." And she said, "I just want you to know that the children here at Brentwood Methodist are very, very sad." And I said, "Why?"
I know.
And she said, "Because Dr. Sassy's lost her eyelashes." And I said, "You have got to be kidding me right now." She said, "Oh, no, honey, we have had circle time. We've gone around the circle to talk about our feelings, about how Dr. Sassy's lost her eyelashes." So I called my husband and I was like, "Honey, I don't know what you got to do to glue these things on, but Dr. Sassy needs her eyelashes back because these kids were saying she was alive and now she's not alive anymore." So anyways, I now drive that little Beetle in the summer. I got a different car because it was a stick shift and it was a lot
Well,
but we still have it and it's a great story. So
oh my gosh, yes. The
yeah,
kids were talking about it in circle time. I'm sorry,
yeah.
I'm stuck there. That's amazing.
Uh,
Kids are so I mean, they're gonna say what they say is what they say.
yeah, they're truth
Brutally
tellers.
honest.
That's why I love
Totally,
them.
totally. I mean, you work with families. I mean, so you're working with small clients as well as older clients.
I
So, I mean,
am
you're seeing
known for working with the whole family when a child is the presenting concern. So whether it's an adult child or a minor child, I really create a plan for the whole family to get some
Mhm.
help because I was the town drunk's kid of Nashville. That's my claim to fame.
Mm.
And had we had the opportunity to get some help when I was young, if someone had not worked with our whole family, there's no way that I would have been able to maintain change on my own. So the drop off your child kind of purist play therapy model, although that's very appropriate for certain circumstances, it's not something that sits well with me. And so I created a different way of doing things where the whole family can get some help when a child is in need. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's great. That shows that multi-prong approach of support, and it's
Mhm.
helping everybody within the whole unit, basically. I mean,
Mhm.
I think about that and how that would fit in with my family. Like,
Mhm.
if my child is struggling, there's probably something that's a rub with me as well that I
Mhm.
can help work through to gain a better place or better footing for her as well. And
Mhm.
so just supporting and understanding that. But let's talk a little bit about what control looks like in a family because
Yeah.
I want to know this is such a big buzz topic. And when we talked about we were discussing like what kind of topic to speak about. And I
Yeah.
was like, it hit me. I was like, control. Like this is
Yeah.
such a big thing for so many people. And I know you specifically deal with this within family and marriage therapy a lot.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
want your input about this. Why do you feel like we crave control in families? Why do parents
Mhm.
why can't we not relinquish that control mechanism around our children? Or why do we fit those constraints? Why would we put things in boxes? What is that behavior all about? Why is it the
Mhm.
craving that we go to?
Well, it's a pretty big topic, and we're all different. But I can tell you that, my office is right in the heart of Brentwood, which is, a very wealthy area. Although I came from the other side of the track, so the word control, it's no respecter of persons. But I will tell you from the population that I currently serve, in the executive community, physicians, attorneys, C-suite folks, they are very used to pushing really hard and being in control a lot. And yet that skill that they use at work does not translate very well at home.
Yeah.
And I will tell people, listen, what's working for you in a business setting, we're going to have to put on a different hat at home, because fear-based control is actually an illusion.
Yes. Mhm.
This surrendering to the right here and the right now is an art, like getting truly present and trusting that life is like being in a canoe without paddles, and trusting that life is going to take us down the river, and that we don't have to micromanage every minute of our day. It's an art.
Yes.
It has become an art, especially in the culture that we live in, with such a digitally distracted culture. And
Right.
I really believe that it requires a practice of allowing your body, your spirit, your mind to practice surrender
Mm.
of what we all want to do. I mean, we all want, and I'm an Enneagram 8. So like, come on.
Yeah.
I would love to
Yeah.
control everything, but you won't win that war, because none of
Yeah.
us, it's an illusion. None of us are really able to control much of anything other than ourselves. I've been in the 12-step recovery community for decades, and the
Mhm.
serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference
Yeah.
just from today. Amen. That is sort of a prayer of surrender, just one day at a time, lamp into my feet, do the next right thing. That is a practice. And we all have to practice letting go of control in
Mhm.
order for our bodies, our minds, and our spirits to kind of be okay with it, you
Yeah.
know?
How do you practice that? Because I feel like that what you're saying is so spot on for the things that I have learned in my own therapy along the way. It's
Mhm.
a muscle. Like we
Mhm.
have to put effort into choosing to exercise it, if you will. And I think too, it can be, establishing that and being able to do it consistently is a superpower. So we have
Yeah.
to grant ourselves grace when we mess up
Mhm.
and be able to back up and reboot and go, okay, this is what just happened, and that kind of helps put us back in that right here, right now you were just talking about a little bit
Mhm.
ago. And
Mhm.
how do you tell your clients, families, little people to their parents? How do you tell them what does that practice look like? I mean, and obviously, like you said, everything is different. Situations are different, family
Yeah.
units are different. But if you were looking at kind of a overall hierarching kind of theory or idea about what is one of the best things that people even listening today can take away from this conversation as a practice to
Mhm.
institute today to help
Mhm.
them move that needle that direction, what would that be?
Mhm. It boils down to trust. And for people that have trauma histories, which I definitely do. I mean, the first 3 to 6 years of my life were complete chaos. When you have that pre-verbal trauma in your nervous system that hasn't been released or expressed, or, you know, uh, some sort of way to get that out of your psyche, a lot of people, me included, want to control, but you almost like are powerless over it,
Yeah.
because you've learned to do this as a lifestyle. So I first of all pour on a lot of compassion and empathy and understanding of, when someone presents with fear-based control that they're truly powerless over, and believe it or not, a lot of executives fall in that category. They have turned lots of executive leadership people have turned very difficult childhoods, and they've made a lot of lemonade out of it in business, but it's simply not serving them well at home. And so
Yes.
it's like a double-edged sword. It pays them well in on one hand, and then it sucks them dry in another.
Right.
Empathy and compassion is what I like to lead with, and then sort of mapping out a plan for them to learn how to let go.
Mm.
Melody Beatty has a daily reader that I'm sure a lot of your readers and have heard of it. It's the language of letting go. It is a beautiful daily reminder of the power of releasing control. And I believe in her work,
Yeah.
Codependent No More and all of the books that she's created. So but it boils down to trust, and that doesn't come easy for me. As I've said, the first several years of my life were very challenging.
Yeah.
But the daily practice of letting go, trust, surrender I'm amazed that, and this is going to sound like I'm patting myself on my back, because I am. I'm patting myself on my back.
Well,
But as I'm
you've
getting older,
yeah.
I'm actually feeling younger. I think because all the years that I have been in 12-step recovery rooms and asked for help and had coaches and mentors and therapists in my own life, now that I'm almost 52, letting go of control, you end up feeling younger. You don't have to carry
Yes,
all that.
totally.
You don't have to carry all
Totally.
that stress
Mhm.
and anxiety, and it's just not worth it after a while.
Yeah.
So that was my
You
long-winded answer to your short question, Dawn.
well, you do I love the
Careful with
fact that you
that.
said well, I mean, I think I love the fact that you said when you don't carry something, it changes the makeup of who you are. When you
Mm,
can drop that and kind of let that go and set that over here to the side and it not become such a part of your DNA any longer, because what I
mhm,
hear you saying is so real. I mean, that trauma and different experiences that we go through in our life get stuck in our nervous system and how that affects us
yeah,
physically,
yeah,
mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. What do you
yeah.
see people exhibiting like when we're with somebody and you're like, I can see that they have this trap and they're not really ready to address it yet. How do you work around that? How do you
Mm,
help them get to a place of understanding that that may be the lead for why you're controlling, why
mm,
you have this mechanism in place in your household with your children, with your spouse, with
mhm.
anything of that nature? How do you break that?
What's coming up for me right now, Dawn, is right after the school shooting here in the Nashville area. I was working with some of the kids that had their friends had been murdered in their third grade classroom. And not to be a downer, but I'm a trauma therapist for children and families. But so, anyways, I was working with these kids and realizing that their PTSD symptoms were so severe. I ended up on Channel 2 doing an interview about grief and loss shortly after that. And I typically know the questions that they're going to ask me when I'm interviewed, but they asked me a fourth question and they said, Stacy, you're a mom and a wife and a mom of 4 children. How are you doing? And on live television here in the Nashville area, I said, I'm not okay,
Yeah.
because I wasn't okay. I drove home, I called my husband and I said, I'm pretty sure I told everybody in Nashville that I'm not okay, because I'm not. I'm not okay. Make a long story short, I ended up doing some very deep internal work inside of my own nervous system shortly after that to release so much stuff that I was carrying that, Dawn, quite honestly, I had no idea that I was still carrying so much residue in my own nervous
Mm,
system. And one of the
mhm.
gifts of that tragedy here in Nashville, not just for me, but for many people, is I had to really face my own, the fact that I was carrying more than I even realized. 70% of our memory is subconscious. We only
Yeah,
have access to about 30% of it.
that's
And it was an
crazy.
event like that just cracked me, broke me wide open, and allowed
Mm,
me to
mhm.
just really allow a lot of, stuff to be unearthed, if you will.
Yes.
So I'm not even sure what your question was now. I'm trying to
We
answer
were
a question that I went
Well,
somewhere.
we were just oh, good. We were just talking about things getting trapped in that in your body, in your nervous system, and
Yeah,
how
so
you are working with it.
a lot of times when I'm working with families and children are involved, whole families are involved, I have found, right or wrong, this is outside the box, but ketamine assisted therapy for parents who have a lot of buried trauma can be
Mm,
extremely efficient, helpful. It allows your survival skills and your ego to go to sleep for a few hours
mhm,
in order to just like really release whatever's going on deep inside of you. And if you can find a clinician that understands the power of ketamine,
mhm.
especially if you pair it with neurofeedback, I have found that that kind of little marriage can it can sort of fast forward the healing process so that the child and the whole family can get help in a very reasonable amount of time. And in my opinion, 3 to 6, 9 months is about as long as any family ought to be in a therapeutic setting. Like
Yeah,
if you're working with somebody that you're seeing for 15 years, I don't think that's needed, like
yeah.
it's there. And the whole reason I created the mountain method is because I spent so many years with so many different therapists just chasing my tail.
Mm,
And I wanted a way to work with a whole family on a child's behalf with a very clear beginning, middle, and an end that made sense to me, that I felt like was integrous and clinically sound,
mhm.
that would help a child in real time in a 3 to 6, 9 month period where everybody could really invest their time and energy into it. So, um, not to poo poo people that see therapists for 15 years, because sometimes that's needed. But in
Right.
general, I don't think that that is best practice, nor is it solution focused. And I believe in a more solution focused, a lot of people that reach out to me, I do more family coaching now because there's no one to diagnose because the family's so high functioning
Yeah.
like there's nothing to diagnose. We're just trying to integrate challenges.
Yes.
Um, but anyways, I am a believer in psychedelic assisted therapy when it is very clinically appropriate for deep,
Right.
buried traumatic events that you just can't access with talking about it.
Right. And I think too, I love what you said about the time frame of therapy. I think that bears witness as well, because when you are pairing that therapy with different situations like the ketamine therapy, the neurofeedback, everything that is combined within that. And I love that you said finding a qualified clinician that can help you with that is invaluable. And
Mhm.
the thing that I hear you saying the most is that you're wanting to empower your clients. Like
Mhm.
education is power.
My
And
goal
when
is to
you
graduate them, not to keep them around.
Right. Thank you.
If you look at my, curtains in my office, there's butterflies because my goal is to help mend your wings so you can fly
Mm,
away.
yeah.
Right over my door, there is a sign that says Cherry Tree Lane, because what did Mary Poppins do? She came down in her little umbrella and she did her little thing and, helped the family do what they needed to do. And when it was time to go, the wind was blowing. And what did she do? She got that umbrella and
Mm.
here I go. When I watched Mary Poppins 2, I literally cried like a baby through the whole thing
Oh, well,
because you
it's
can see
meaningful.
in Mary Poppins 2, you can see in her eyes that she knew the wind was coming. It was time for her to go.
Yeah.
And so many families I've worked with that carry in my heart, but as a family therapist, it's temporary. It's supposed to be temporary, and
Thank you for
it's time
saying
to
that.
get your
Yes.
umbrella and it's time to go,
Yeah.
wherever Mary Poppins went. So
Well, it's supposed to be temporary. Thank
mm,
you for saying that. I think and obviously there is a place for therapy for extended periods of
sure,
time
it
depending
are
upon what is
right.
what's
The
the
presenting
presenting factors.
sure.
Yeah. The things that are going on. But again, I love what I hear you saying is that empowering you to move forward, to be able to integrate the work, integrate the challenges, find the tools that work for you and how they input into your life to make
Mhm.
everything better for you. Because
Yeah.
I feel like we're really here to be these whole people, and we're
Mhm.
cheating ourselves if we're not diving in to do that work. Now, I will say along my path, it's
Mhm.
been hard to let go of control enough to see the forest for the trees a lot of times. But when
Mhm.
I can do that trust and the surrender, like you talked about,
Yeah.
it lets me off the hook just enough. And when it lets me off the hook just enough, then it's like, okay, I can see a difference. I can feel a difference in my body with the nervous system and the whole being in general.
Mhm.
I'm really interested, kind of to switch veins a little bit. I'm interested. We can talk a little bit about your book, The 30-Day Blackout. And this is a wonderful one. It's a great read. And this is something that you talked about at your speech at the networking event where I met you. And it's really talking about turning off screens, getting away from the screens. I want your input into the social media world with families in general, and
Mhm.
what you're seeing with people in your practice, what your input is, your experience with your own family as well, and what gave you the impetus to go that direction with the 30-day blackout, the book that you wrote, and why you went that way.
So, because I was raised in so much chaos in my early 20s, I was searching for some simplicity. And my
Mm.
husband and I had a rare opportunity to live completely off the grid in an 1850s non-electric cabin for 18 months. This really actually happened. No electricity,
Wow.
no running water, no indoor plumbing. I literally would not take this year and a half of my life back for $1 million, because I learned, first of all, my nervous system regulated for the first time in my life sitting on the front porch of that cabin. There was no hum of a refrigerator. There was no curling iron, hair dryer. There was no television, obviously.
Hmm.
There and I just kind of got used to the sound of nature, long walks. My sweet sheepdog Max, who's long passed, was my companion. My husband and I took long naps and visited the neighbors. We got involved in a Mennonite Amish community. It's a long story, but I share that because fast forward, I'm now, after I got out of community mental health, opened my private practice, and there were families bringing me their whole family with multiple children, wanting me to help the whole family system. And because of my experience living in the cabin, I intuitively knew what these children needed. They needed a break from screens. And so
Mm, yeah.
early in my career, I called it the 30-day turn it off challenge. There was a child client that called it the Blackout, which is why the name of
That's
the
why
book
it is.
is
Yeah.
Blackout, because a kid called it this.
Yeah.
And what I've found over the last 15 years of implementing digital detoxes with children is that if you can sit down with your family and say, we really want to focus on connection for the next month, and we are not intending to punish anybody, but
Hmm.
let's be honest, we are all distracted on all of our screens. The average number of screens in Brentwood, Tennessee is 36 per family. So like
Whoa, wait.
you add up phones, iPads, televisions, the TVs in the car. I mean, you add them all up. That's the average number of televisions in this county per
Wow.
household.
Wow.
So when you think about, if in the statistics right now, our kids are sitting in front of a screen 7 to 9 hours every single day. So
Hmm.
make a long story short, everybody seems to be talking about the problem, which I'm grateful for, because 15 years ago when I was talking about this, people looked at me like I was losing my mind. Like, it's not that big of a
Hmm.
deal, lady, you know? So
Hmm.
it's a mainstream conversation, but I've been really implementing a solution to the problem from the
Hmm.
beginning. And that's what I call the mountain method. In the middle of the mountain method, there's a 5-phase process to it, but right smack in the middle of it is when I implement a digital detox with a family. You just sit down and say, we want to connect better as a family. So for the next 4 weeks, we're going to step away from the overuse and misuse of screen time and really focus on connection. The little misnomer about my work is people thinking that you go completely screen free. That's not actually possible with
Yeah.
work, school, and GPS and all the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what ends up happening when you implement a blackout, if you will, is you go from 9 hours of screen time to maybe like 1 or 2. which is a
Yeah.
dramatic change. The first 5 days are complete hell. So I just tell parents, mark those days on your calendar. Day 6 and 7 is the door of boredom, where kids think boredom's going to kill them. Boredom doesn't kill children.
Right.
And then after that door of boredom, I coach parents to replace entertainment with connection. And
Mhm.
while I'm working with the family, what really goes on with the family will just simply bubble to the surface. It makes my job easier because there it all is, the disconnection, the misunderstandings, the regret, the whatever is going on with the family. It becomes pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Uh, and then during that 30 days, I hopefully will inspire a family to put proper parental controls on everybody's devices. I recommend the Griffin router, which cleans up your screens. The Opal app for the iPhone with a layered approach of the Freedom app, which will kind of block your phone from scrolling during hours of the day that you choose not to.
Yeah.
But the whole point of it is to really focus on connection for about 30 days.
Yeah.
Post blackout, the goal is for screen time to be the art of, where you're not the slave to it. It's serving you rather being the
Mhm.
slave to it. And so the idea of a digital detox in the world of family therapy is perturbing a family system. So that is
Yes.
actually a family therapy technique that I do on purpose. It kind of shakes everything up in order to reorganize it for it to be a healthier family system. And when you just rinse and repeat and do this over and over again, obviously every family looks different, especially in two-parent homes. It gets a little complicated, but
Right.
focusing on the solution has brought me a lot of joy. It makes me want to come back to work every day.
Mm.
I'm now training therapists on this modality, and I have a course, the Mountain Method, that parents can go through this process in the privacy of their own homes with or without me. And it's just been a rewarding thing. I used to laugh and say, if Dolly Parton can sing "I Will Always Love You" again and again with a smile on her face, then I can
Yes.
talk about this again, again,
And
again.
again and again. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've repeated
Well,
myself for many, many years of how this works. And I will say that if my grandmother knew that I made a living out of people telling people to turn their screens off, she'd be
she
like,
would be like,
"What?"
she'd be like, I'm so proud of you, but I just don't what?
I
What?
don't
Yeah.
get it. I don't
I
get
don't
it.
get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
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 Well, it just sounds I love everything about the fact that getting a break, allowing your central nervous system as a whole to regulate by getting away and stepping away from certain things. I think that can help. Like you said, it makes your job easier because the things bubble up to the surface, which I
Yeah.
love. But also, it gives it a little bit of a challenge too, probably in the end, for everybody to figure out, okay, where do I fit? How does the control thing fit within what have I been doing where control is affected? And maybe we can even talk about high functioning too, because like the work that you're doing with people, it's high functioning individuals. I have
Mhm.
found in my own therapy that it's really easy unless I have a really good therapist, right? They can't, I mean, I can snowball some things because of the high functioning situation. It's got to be a point where I choose to do something about it and I have
I
to make
think
an
high
active.
functioning people that are struggling with this, what you don't realize is they're suffering. Like,
Oh,
being in a constant state of needing to control everything is really a chronic state of suffering. And it may look
yeah.
good, but it doesn't feel good, and, it's interesting because I've trained myself to be able, with interpersonal neurobiology, to understand the nervous system and feel, what's going on in someone else's nervous system. There's like a constant rev up. It's like I'm fine on the outside, but I'm the
Mhm,
duck underneath. It's like a sympathetic activation, or
mhm,
a
mhm,
like a buzz happening, with
mhm.
not being able to release and control. I'll tell you the easiest way to learn how to do this. You want to know?
Yes,
Ballroom,
please.
ballroom dancing.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, you do that, don't you?
Ballroom dancing well, I'll just speak for myself. Ballroom dancing, you have to follow. You can't, as a female, you can't be in charge. And whether they're a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced dancer, your job is to relax.
Wow.
Relax and be led.
Yeah.
And for an Enneagram 8, type A personality type, I have found that ballroom dancing is probably the most experiential, therapeutic activity that I can do for myself to release this idea of being in control.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it makes total sense. When you are allowing someone else to lead, you're letting go of that facet of control.
Yeah.
I mean, and like ballroom dancing is not easy, right?
No.
So there's a thought process that goes into it too. But overall, it's this idea of letting go. It's this idea of stepping off. And what you said is so true. That high functioning may look great from the outside, but the insides are just it's an old deck that's rotted and falling apart.
Mhm.
It's this suffering that's happening underneath this exterior that's going on.
And the
And I
research
think
shows that after I'm sorry I interrupted you.
please.
The research shows after, I think, 100 to $120,000 a year, there's no correlation between happiness and income. So there are a lot of high performing, high net worth leaders who are not able to admit that they're suffering.
Yeah.
And it's not easy for them to get help either.
Oof.
Um,
Gosh.
so it's interesting because in the 12-step world, which I've been in recovery for so long,
Mhm.
the most refreshing part of it is that we're all on the same playing field.
Mhm.
Rich, poor, um, socioeconomic, ethnicity, gender, whatever it is, you meet on a common weakness. And the idea is we're all just a bunch of bozos on the bus, walking each other home.
Yeah, that's a great visual, and you're not wrong. You're so correct about that.
Oh, I love it when I'm not wrong. Yeah,
Enneagram 8s unite. Here we go.
yeah. Are you an
Well,
8, Dawn?
I am. Yes, yes, that'd be
Okay.
me. This is probably why you and I are, like, so, like, symbiotic right here. I can I
Totally,
can connect with you very
totally.
easily. But I wanna ask you a little bit as we start to wrap up. Talk to me about what this element of control, what the payoff is for so many people. Why is it that they continue to do this? You may know, like, that people may be listening to this and going, "Dude, I'm overwhelmed. I'm that's she's knows me. Like, she's hitting the buttons here. I am suffering inside, but I feel powerless to trust and surrender and change because I'm getting this." And I've often talked to therapists about this, and friends in general. Like, the lack of being able to change a familiar pattern isn't that we don't know that we can do it. It's this lack of not knowing what's on the other side. So we're going to stay with the dysfunctional pattern because it's become familiar to us. Like, how do you break that illusion and that payoff that we continue to tell ourselves that this is doing something, this is really serving you? It's like the
Mhm,
ego, like, driving the bus, like the
mhm.
2-year-old driving the bus while the 25-year-old mom is sitting beside the child going, just hang on tight, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do?
I have found that however you live your life, you can do that and go ahead and do that until you're in your mid 40s.
Mm,
And then something shifts and a lot of people hit a wall in their mid 40s. Now, I was blessed to hit a wall when I was 19 in a mental hospital where I tried to take my own life. That's my story. But what I have found with high functioning, controlling, if you will, people, that you can do that and you can keep on rolling that way. But in your mid 40s, something shifts. And
mhm.
many times you just cannot it's not sustainable forever. And
Yeah.
when you hit a wall, it hurts, but it's the best thing that'll ever happen to you. That's been my experience when you hit that wall and the way that you've been living your life is no longer sustainable, and you have to dust yourself off and stand back up and try things a new way, and put on a different pair of glasses and learn how to live life for the second half of your life more sustainably. And I would say that learning how to trust and surrender is a muscle that does not come easy to me. I get one day. I get one day. So when I surrender in the morning, I get one day. And I take an inventory of my day at the end of my day, and then I go to sleep, and then I wake up and I give my life over to the care of a loving God that next morning, and I get one day. And we get one day. Yes, we get one day. And that's really how I think humans are designed to live. You know, we're not promised tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, it's breaking it down and giving yourself the grace to be in the present moment.
Yeah.
Without having to look outside, without having to look behind, without having to look ahead. Just the experience of just being.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very challenging thing, especially if you're carrying trauma and you are high functioning and all the stuff that's bubbling inside of you is like, whoa, like this. Being present, making that choice, you know, hitting the wall like you talked about. There was a reel the other day and I reposted it. It was like, our suffering is going to teach us more about who we are and what we want out of life and where we want to be than us going on a wonderful 2-week vacation to Fiji. You know, like we can look back at that experience on the beach and be like, oh, that was amazing. But what's it really teaching us about who we are? So when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow. I was working through a piece with my therapist at the time. And I was like, wow, that's a really indicative moment for me to go, my suffering and my issues are part of my story. And I can choose to look at that and go, this is a developmental piece for me that I can utilize. What can I do with that information? How can I effectively be the best version of myself that I can be? And I think you nailed it on the head with one day at a time. You have to, in the serenity prayer, like you started with too. I love that.
The work of Byron Katie. I don't know if you know the work of Byron Katie.
I do.
But she, you know, the work is so simple and so brilliant. When you boil it down, everything is as it should be right here, right now. And a lot of our suffering is what's going on between our two ears that we can't accept that it is as it should be. And, you know, perception is everything. And, you know, for someone who has recovered from trauma, that hypervigilance that keeps you in the future or regretting the past, it's the source of suffering. When you're fully present and accept life as it is, that it is as it should be, that's where the peace is. That's where peace lies. And I rely a lot when I'm spinning out, which absolutely happens. You know, I go directly to the things that work for me. And one of the things that works really well for me is the work of Byron Katie.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It's amazing work. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned earlier, Melody
Beatty.
Yeah. I have that book by my bedside. I love it. It's a daily thing. It's so good. So good. Oh, Dr. Sassy, you are amazing. I'm so thankful. Oh, well, thank you for all of the tidbits. Thank you for dropping so many mic drop moments in this conversation. Really good stuff, very reflective stuff. And I really feel like that's what we're here in our bodies to do, is to really evolve. And we owe it to ourselves to do that work. It's reflective. It can be challenging, but it also is doable. It's doable.
It's doable. It's a practice. It's a practice, you know.
Oh, gosh. Well, so you are driving the Beetle because it's summertime now in Nashville. Are you driving? The eyelashes are on, correct?
Well, I'm not driving. I drive it when I want to, Dawn.
Okay, well, that's okay.
But it's there waiting on me when I want it. It's a big, you know, like the police officers, they wave at me when I'm driving it. And it's like, should I really be driving this car at 52? I don't know. It's just.
Yes, you should. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when we go to drive-in movies, that's really when I get the Beetle out.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Dr. Sassy
amazing.
and Dr. Sassy. You can't miss me.
Dr.
What's so
Sassy.
funny about it is I didn't know I was not gonna blend. I realized, like, I'm not gonna blend in this car. Oh my gosh.
You're like, everybody's good. No one's, I'm not going to stand out.
And I
Well,
cried in this
I'm
car.
here to tell you, you stand out in the best possible way. I
Oh,
mean that with
thanks.
my whole heart. I really, really am super thankful for your energy, super thankful for the work that you do. I know your patients, your clients, everybody that touches your practice is extremely thankful for you as well. So
Thank you, Dawn.
again, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being so present today and
Mhm.
being so accessible and with your
Mhm.
beautiful words and your reflections. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. And I know our listeners will as well.
Yay.
Yay. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your day, a good rest
Thanks,
of the
Dawn.
week. And I
Okay,
can't wait to see you again soon.
awesome. Take care.